The biggest thing stopping most technicians from being very enthusiastic about a product is they don't currently believe in the product. Now, that doesn't mean they believe it's not good for the client. In the majority of cases, it means they don't understand the product very well.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your host, Nate and Brian, hanging out with you. Looking forward to a great show today as we dive into the topic of believing in what you are presenting. That's right. We're talking about how you can't close what you don't believe in. Such an important topic for all trades. Anybody who's in the home services industry, there has to be belief in what you're presenting. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of that today. But before we do that, we're going to spend a little time breaking down an introduction for you ourselves. And we're going to start it off as we always do with a quote from Brian.
Wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you'd have preferred to be talking. Doug Larson.
That's profound. I like it. We could all do a little bit more listening. You know what I'm saying?
Thinking about I know I have some wisdom, but I certainly didn't do a lifetime of listening. You know what I mean?
You're telling me, Brian.
I could have a lot more wisdom is what you're telling me if I'd done the zipper across the mouth and the key lock and throw away the key.
What's that old phrase? Rather be thought a fool and quiet than to speak and confirm it.
Remove all doubt.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, there is a lot to be learned out there. And that's something that actually on this side of the microphone has been extremely beneficial with this podcast. Regardless of you and I having the privilege of engaging with guests and each other about varying topics over the last 4 or 5 years, we actually do a fair amount of listening. And it's really, really valuable. In fact, that's where some of the most impactful content, in my opinion, has come by just sitting here and becoming a listener, just like everybody else listening to this podcast is right now.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Me in particular, during the interviews, and especially with, I don't know how long ago it was when I just tapped out of the interviews and said, I'll take the lion's share of the intro and I will just listen and take notes during the interview. And ever since I started doing this, I listen to audiobooks and podcasts and YouTube videos of things that I want to learn, but I'm doing something when I'm doing that. Rarely am I sitting taking notes. I take notes by I'm driving or working out and hear something profound and I take a screenshot of the spot. And then when I get home or to my office, I listen again and then jot it down, right? But during these interviews, I'm just sitting here quiet for the most part, jumping in here and there when you're making it so boring that I'm falling asleep, which I know is going to cause some HVAC tech to crash. I'll jump in with a joke.
It's for their safety. It's for their safety.
Yeah, I'm doing this for the techs, bro. Yeah, I got you. So, but I'm just taking notes and I'm I feel like I'm getting a degree in so many different things where before when I was trying to be much more part of the interview, which you're just profoundly better at. It's not even close. Your ability to not feign interest, but be genuinely interested in what the speaker is saying and digging deeper into them. It's not a skill I possess necessarily. If I'm really interested in what they're saying, then I can. But you can just turn that interest on. Or maybe you're just always you're not that interested in people. What am I talking about? Our guests, you are. Yes. And certainly our wonderful listeners. We're very interested in you guys, 100%.
I'm just really feeling uplifted right now, Brian. Thank you. It's been very positive.
Yeah, I like the podcast because it showed me that you actually like people. And that's been a big switch for me.
Well, let's not go too far. Okay.
Because what were we? Podcast is about 4.5 years old and we started working together about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had 8 years of me thinking, like all the people who work for you, that you hate people. And then I get 4.5 years of like, this guy's genuinely interested. This is a big switch. So kudos to you, buddy, for showing your true colors.
Yes, the alternate personality comes out. But listening is so important. And well, number one, we hope that you are finding value every time that you listen to this podcast. And not that we want you to go other places, but we do encourage it. And we love you coming back every single week to Waste No Day. But there is dozens and dozens of other great podcasts, audiobooks, and other content to be listening to as well. And the centric theme around all of that is, in fact, the listening piece. Now, I think there's some disadvantages to falling into a state of listenership where you never turn it into application. And I think that's something that we should all be cautious against. But the quote that you really brought up today is really focused around, I think, more of the interactive in the world, like the reality that we live in. Yes, lots of time to listen to great content and all that type of stuff. That's super. But I think the impact is really felt when you're in humanity, when you're dealing with humans, when you are, at the home, especially. And we've talked about that in various episodes in various different ways, that listening is so important when you're dealing with a homeowner to really understand their pain, their circumstances, their situation, their feelings about what's going on. All that stuff is so valuable. And really, at the end of listening, I remember somebody left a comment on the Blue Collar Closer Club this week that was talking about how he was doing, I think it was yeah. He was doing a phone sale, or like he was talking with a client over the phone, and he had to basically tape his mouth shut to the degree where he talked, I think it was something like 50% less than he normally would have talked. And he was just so challenged by having to do that. But the call went well. And it's just a reminder of the power.
Yeah, his wife was with him, and he made a post in Blue Collar Closer group, and he said, she sat there and watched me as I had to almost put his hand over his mouth to keep from talking, and just let the client talk and then ask questions, let the client talk more. Got off the phone, and his wife literally congratulated him like, that was, not you. That was amazing that you pulled that off. And he just said, nope, I can do better. I'm going to keep practicing. And the thing is we did a role play game, and it's a perfect thing to talk about for this listening piece that we're discussing right now. We did a role play game on Thursday Q&A in the Blue Collar Closer community. If you don't know what that is, go to bluecollarcloser.com or just shoot us an email at service@wastenoday.net and just ask for more info on it, and somebody will shoot you a link. But it's our sales training community, and he was in the Thursday Q&A Make Role Play Great Again, where we just played a role play game where I selected people kind of at random, and two people would go against each other in the role play. And if Nate's an electrician and I'm an HVAC tech, well, I would say, Nate, you're going to talk about whole home surge protector. And I'm going to talk, I, as the HVAC tech, will talk about electronic air filter, whatever version you use, Micro Power Guard, I don't know, Air Bear, or whatever they are.
It's your inner plumber coming out in that phlegm. It's just HVAC.
Yeah. Electrician. So we have everybody in there, right? Electricians, HVAC, plumbers, garage doors, painters, locksmith,
carpentry.
What was the carpentry, landscapers? What was the one that kind of threw me for a loop? I don't remember. But anyway, roofers. So you'll do a product that you actually sell, right? And here's the task. Now, the two of you are going to go. Nate's going first. He's going to talk about whole home surge protection. I'm putting my stopwatch up against the screen so everyone on the call can see it, and we can all see each other because cameras are on. And Nate has 60 seconds to ask as many questions as he can to lead the client into an interest in whole home surge protection. Now, not statements. Everything he says has to end in a question mark or he doesn't get a point for it. So instead of like, I see you don't have any. Nope. That would be a statement. You would say,
Brian, it seems like maybe you don't have.
Yeah. I can't find a whole home surge protection. How do you protect your system against surges, micro surges, and lightning strikes? Right. And that would count as one. So but already the clock's at like 54 seconds, right? The most questions we have ever gotten was 13.
That's beastly. That's a lot.
It seems like you're like, well, I could do one every 5 seconds. So, I'll get 15, no problem. 15 easily. 20 even. It's probably 20, right? Nope. It is brutal. And if you say like, hey, it's pretty nice outside, it's cloudy for a change in Phoenix, that's not bad, right? That doesn't count.
Yeah, right.
It has to be a question that's leading the client toward interest in the product. How much do you know about what's in the water coming from the city? Right? And the client answers. Now, here's another issue. The quote unquote client in these role play can make it take a little bit longer, but people call them out nonstop for it. So they'll try to answer a 10-second answer on one of those questions. You got to be quick with it. But this is a great game, whether you're a leader in your team or you're a technician. I don't care. Part runner, dispatcher. We actually had a dispatcher. I think she was a dispatcher, CSR dispatcher, who's in there, who's in the group, and she hopped on and role played. And then the following week, her husband was on the call with her, hoping that we made her role play again. Just hilarious. Yeah, so it's a good time. But if you're part of a team at all, this is the type of game you can play. You need 3 people to play it, right? And you're going to crown a victor. And at the end of this thing, one person is going to have the most questions. And if it's a tie, those 2 go again. And you switch the product up. Give them a different product and see who wins. And I called it make role play fun again. These are the type of games that you can play to get role play to not be the worst part of the day or week. And if you're not doing any at all, there's a great place to start with that game right there.
Yes, sir. And while we're talking about it, Brian, the concept of listening and the concept of applying and the concept of presenting with passion, which is sort of what we're talking about today, is perfectly met in the place that is known as the Blue Collar Closer. And that is a school community, SKOOL, that Brian has developed that is relevant to not only listening to great content, but then actually turning it into application. Highly recommend that you check that out. It is subscription based. You can get in there and find other superior professionals all around the country who are desiring to level up just like you. Right now, though, we want to highlight one of the special people out there who've taken the time to leave us a review on this podcast. We do this every single week to give our thanks back to those of you who've taken the time to do that, as well as to highlight some of the special testimonials that people are experiencing by listening to this content. Brian, who do we have today?
Number 1 podcast. 5 stars. I'm an 18-year-old HVAC tech out of Dallas, Texas.
Woo.
This 18. Woo.
Yeah, man.
This podcast has been revolutionary to my sales game and my overall viewpoint on life. I'm glad I've come across Brian and Nate and thank them for their dedication and passion to spreading their message throughout the trades. I look forward to being a multi-million-dollar producer from techniques I have learned from this podcast and one day a guest on the show. Cheers.
Yeah, let's do that.
I know this is where I say the name. Usually. JDNNDNCNDJXF. So
that's like he hit the password generator button for his username.
It was just like he was leaving a review on some game where if you leave a review on one of those, just bad times. What's the game everybody plays with the Clash of Clans? Probably if you leave a review, they give you like 10 free gems or something like that. And you're just like, not realizing that's going to be your name forever. Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking here, Brian, if he's 18 now and he started listening to the show at the beginning, he was 13 and a half years old.
Wow. It would kind of make sense. I mean, I was in and around plumbing at 13. My twin brother and I put in a water heater when we were 13 years old for my grandmother with my uncle sitting on the steps watching a soldered vent, everything. 13.
Yeah.
So seeing an 18-year-old tech, I'm like, yeah, I can see it. Depends, Yeah,
man. Well, more power to you there, Texas. Love it.
Yeah, buddy. Well, we're never going to know that name. Jump in the Facebook group and give us your name and say I'm
Well, we appreciate the review, and any of the rest of you who take the time to do that. It means a lot to us and hopefully to those listening as well. We're going to pivot now to the main topic that we're talking about today, which is believing in the product that you're presenting. And we're going to get into that content right now. All right, it's just Brian and me hanging out, fitting both of our butts into your passenger seat today. And we're looking forward to talking about this concept around believing in your presentation, specifically in the area of products or services, probably more on the product side than anything else, but really focusing on how you can't close what you don't believe in. And to kind of set the stage there a little bit, I want to talk about what various products or services, hopefully you believe in yourself, but that's probably a great place to start. If you don't believe in yourself as you are presenting in your own service, everything else is going to fall apart. I mean, you have to present with a level of confidence. Otherwise, the product, service, the solution, whatever you're offering, it's not going to go very far because people aren't going to trust you or believe you. Assuming that you have at least a base level of confidence in who you are and what you're doing or what you're offering, when you get into the specific product line or the specific solution that you're offering, that's where people are looking for confidence in the form of recommendation or presentation or belief. Then that is not often, or I should say, it's not only communicated by words, it's communicated also by body language, enthusiasm, tonality, all the things that come with communication is communicating the belief to the homeowner by you as the presenter. So I did a training with some of our young guys last year who were kind of up and coming into the sales game. And we were talking about presenting, we were talking about the concept of transfer of enthusiasm, which of course is a certain definition of sales, right? And instead of, trying to get them to present on, an RO system or a capacitor or something like that, which may or may not necessarily drive a lot of passion or interest for them, I asked them to focus on a hobby. So, for example, a young and upcoming guy, he might be really into fishing. Okay, fantastic. Pretend like you are in the store and I come in as a client and I'm asking you, hey man, I'm kind of in the market for like a fishing rod or something like that. Give me 30 seconds of you talking to me about fishing. And when you get on, the quote unquote hobby side of things, which people can feel very passionate about, I'm passionate about basketball or fishing or hunting or shooting or any golfing, any number of other things, right? It's not difficult to present with enthusiasm to anybody. And this can get really crazy. Like, oh, Brian, dude, you got to see this new club that I got. I mean, I spent like an arm and a leg on this thing, but every time I put that, put that in my hands,
man,
right?
The passion in your voice. It's like, yes,
right. And you could care less. Like, you might care less about golfing, but if I'm passionate about it, I don't care if you don't care about golfing. I'm going to tell you about golfing because I love it. I'm excited about it. I don't really care for golfing, frankly, but like, you get what I'm saying. And so like you take that and we kind of did some of those trials with the young bucks and like kind of got them encouraged around the concept of learning the skill of presenting with enthusiasm around something that they are truly passionate on the hobby side, and then developing that skill into your trade, right? So if you're a plumber, what is a solution or service or product that you are or can be passionate about? And of course, there has to come a degree of learning to even know what those products do and how they function for you and or others to even become passionate about them. What you can't be is an academic presenter. Very few people can. Perhaps if you are a thespian or you've taken acting classes or those types of things, and you can fake your way through it. But people read an academic presenter as just a pamphlet with a face. And that, my friend, does not get many sales made.
Yeah, how could it? I mean, if it did, why would we need salespeople when we could just send emails? And that's pretty darn close to what a very monotone person who Ving Jane, he's a public speaking coach. He had a public speaking coach when he was I think he was pretty young. I'm probably going to butcher the story, but I'm just telling how I remember it. Let's hope the pieces fall into place. But he had a public speaking coach or just a dialect coach or something like that. He's Asian. And it was an older lady. And she had a piano in the room and she had him speaking and maybe like reading some lines. And she said, let me show you something. She leans over on the piano and she just plays a bunch of notes, right? Probably beautiful melody. And she's like, how was that? He was like, that was nice. And then she takes her finger and she just bounces it on one key for 3 minutes. Ding, 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 ding. And she says, how was that? And he says, well, that was not great at all. I couldn't wait for that to be over. And she said, that's how you use your voice. Mm. And she said, you see, most people think of their voice like a tool. What do you do with a tool? You use a tool. Where people don't realize that our voice is an instrument. And what do you do with an instrument?
You play it.
You play an instrument. You use different notes, different melodies, different octaves, right? And she taught him probably the best lesson you can learn in sales is that one of the best lessons anyway, the volume changing of your voice tells people things. We just dropped a reel of probably a few weeks ago as this podcast airs, but of David J.P. Phillips, which is to date one of my crazy because it's not downloaded. Like we don't have the views for it like we would. One of the best podcasts we've ever done, but it's one of the best podcasts we've ever done. Mm-hmm. If not, it's up there, man. It's like high level. And the reel that we dropped of that was him talking about volume changes in your voice. He said your voice, a person in a sales situation, a salesperson can be viewed as a conductor because you're changing the volume of your voice up and down and getting the attention of the audience, who's the couple that you're selling to right now. And he said, if you lower your voice and slow your speed, you tell them something interesting is coming. If you speed up your voice really quick and raise the octave and go really fast, you tell them, this isn't something I necessarily need to pay attention to, right? It's a less important point. And we all know this, like instinctively. I see it when I'm using the things that I learned from him in boot camps and in training with my team. If I slow down and lower my voice and lean forward, the pens stop clicking, paper stops shuffling on the desks. Guys are interested. And then if I speed up and back up and start talking fast again and raise the volume of my voice, not yelling, but just raise it back up to normal, they start getting preoccupied with the ink pen or the label on the can or whatever. They're not as interested. And we all know this because if we're talking to our kids or our spouse and we're saying something that's serious and you mean business about, you slow it down and you emphasize it a little bit. But when the majority of us are presenting in the home, we don't think to do any of these things purposely, but they have to be on purpose. They're not just going to come out in those situations. The unfortunate part of presenting in the home is the majority of us are not ourselves. We're not the same person we are on the couch. And it takes away our ability to be normal. So we have to interject normalcy into the conversation on purpose. If I mean something and it's a valid point, let me slow it down a little bit. Before I deliver it, let me take a 3 Mississippi pause. Sorry, 3 waste no days. 3 waste no day pause. 1 waste no day.
Yes, of course.
2 waste no day. 3 waste no day. Let me take that pause before I deliver it and build a little anticipation in the client. And oh my gosh, does this stuff work so well? I do Zoom trainings for teams and I'll go visit teams and do on-sites for them and even like a little public speaking now. And like, it doesn't matter what I'm talking about. If I start to see 3 guys in the back left corner losing interest, I'll just be talking about how I went on vacation last week and I'll go, and we were walking down this trail called Whale Watch Point weeks after the whale season had ended. And all of the sudden, Amelia says, look left. And there's the tail of a humpback whale right there. Right. And it doesn't matter what I'm saying, though. Like when you talk about a tail of a humpback whale, that's going to be a big deal. But it actually doesn't matter. I can just raise my voice a little, pause, lean down almost into a crouching position on that stage. And the three chatty Cathys in the back zip it. They look forward like, what's up? Because for part, our brain's telling us that we missed something. So we're automatically like, what? What's happening? What'd I miss? Ooh, what's the good part? You're elbowing your neighbor. What do you say? And then the other part is that maybe it's me with the lack of self-esteem is I go, oh crap, he's calling on me and I don't have the answer. Like
that's what I was thinking.
My very short stint in school was exactly like that all the time because I was asleep.
If the classroom got quiet all of a sudden,
oh yeah, like, they're looking at me. Yeah, they're looking at the white guy over here. It's at least in Detroit public school. I'm like, what did I do now? This is great. So I would wake up and then start looking at the teacher again. But these pauses and these dramatic effects and voice tonality changes, learning to play your instrument in your throat. It's such a crucial part of what we're doing when we're communicating. And I don't know what the actual numbers are on the pie chart that is communication, because I had that pie chart that showed that 7% of communication is actually the words we say in a one-on-one conversation in person. And I had all these super old sales dudes that look like they stepped out of Glengarry Glen Ross and have aged since jump in there and say like, oh, that's all fiction. That's not true at all. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was like proven, but what do I know? Here's what I do know. It's not 100%. The words we use it's not even close to 100%. But we pretty much, in the soft skills, with very little exceptions, we put 100% of the work into training the words we say. And it definitely doesn't deserve that. Probably not even 50. Because Ed Mylett killed it when he said this. Ed Mylett's the number one public speaker. What do they call him? Number one, I don't know, speaker in the world right now. He's the top guy. If you want to book a speaker, you say, who are the top 10 speakers? He's number one. He said, and he started in door-to-door sales. I don't know what he sold, but door-to-door is a brutal sport. He said, most people in sales waste their time and get no's because they try to convince the client to believe them. And he didn't elaborate, but I know what he means because you listen to a rilla of somebody who doesn't have the confidence yet. They sound like they're begging you to trust them. And they're just chasing, and the client's like, get off me. What you need to do in selling, all you have to convince the client is that you believe what you're saying. And the way we're communicating right now with the pauses and the voice inflections and all the effect we're using, and we don't have anything. You can't even see us. We have nothing but the way we're using our voices right now. How believable do we sound right now? Versus, dude, you've definitely got to start pausing more. Like for sure. You got to use voice inflections more and that kind of stuff. You just can't ramble on and on and on. You want to use pauses. You want to raise your voice a little bit sometimes. Sometimes you want to lower it. Sometimes you want to drop down a little bit. These things matter a lot. I said the same thing both times, right? So how important were the words I was saying? They matter, but it ain't 100%.
And that's a perfect segue, Brian, as we're talking about not only just the art of presentation, but the belief behind the presentation. And what I think we're driving towards here is that out of genuine belief exudes natural presentation. Sort of like we were talking about at the top of the episode here, when we're with the concept around talking about a hobby or around, something that you're naturally passionate about. Take, for example, Brian's naturally passionate about blue collar closer, right? And so he's Anytime like some person
Heck
is
yeah.
walking down the street,
Sorry.
you know, this is just going to be coming out of him. Like he doesn't have to try. He doesn't have to fake it. The person doesn't even have to be into the trades. Like his hairdresser is probably well informed about blue collar clothes.
I don't have a hairdresser, first off, but yes, we got the bro who fought MMA at Jocko's gym for 7 years, who cuts my hair, is very well aware of it. I'm actually helping him open his own. Josh, love you, buddy. He's a beast.
There you go. And so like it's out of true passion exudes that belief. Your belief in the product, and exudes your demonstration through your tonality and your words and your body language. You're going to get more animated, more excited, more dynamic when you're talking about something that you're truly passionate about. You know, whether your interest is politics or, sports or football teams or activities that you do, rock climbing, it doesn't really matter. Because what you know is that you believe in what you're communicating, like you're all in. And then when you're trying to present or communicate or transfer that enthusiasm to someone else, what you're trying to do is you're trying to tell them, this is what this has done for me, and I want you to have opportunity to do the same thing. Take, for example, hiking, right? You may love hiking. You may hate hiking. I like hiking. I enjoy it. I enjoy being in God's creation. I enjoy taking my family out. I enjoy, trying out challenging trails and challenging myself. And so I would start talking about that. He'd be like, Brian, listen, man, you got to try out some hiking, dude. Like it's awesome. So not only is it's great for your body, like it's good exercise, it's low impact. We're not doing tons of stuff on the knees. We're getting some good cardio. We're getting some leg workout in there. And at the end of all that, that's just ancillary benefit. But at the end of all that, you get like this beautiful vista or this experience, or, you get a picture of the fam on top of the mountain. And, you get to train your kids a little bit on what it means to like scramble and be out in the woods. You can point out some cool caterpillars to your toddler and like all this cool stuff. It's really great, man. You should try it out. Why don't you come with me? Why don't you go? Like, what are you doing this Sunday? What are you doing this Saturday? Why don't you come with me? Let's go hiking. Let's try it out. Bring your family. It'll be great. Right. And so I'm taking the passion that I have for an interest that I do. And not only am I trying to just tell you why I'm interested about it, I'm trying to tell you why you should be interested about it, why it would be good for you, what benefits you would also receive, and how it would impact you and your family and your lifestyle and all those things. And so when you get behind that level of passion, it just starts coming out naturally. So think of it right now. As you're driving to your call or you're listening somewhere to this podcast, what is something that you are passionate about that, given the opportunity to express it to anybody else, you wouldn't have to work for it? Like it would just naturally come out. Is it golf? Is it football? Is it hiking? Is it mountain climbing? Is it skiing? Is it traveling? What is it? Race car driving? I don't care. But given the opportunity to speak to somebody about it, what would it be? Okay, so you got that thing in your mind. Now, if you were to tell me if I said you have 30 seconds to just tell me not only about the thing, but also about why I should care about the thing. Yeah, you might have to think a little bit, but it's just going to start coming out. And you're going to get a little amped up. And you're going to get amped up. And you're going to try to get me amped up because you believe in the value and the benefit of that passion. You want me to get excited about playing basketball. Oh man, it's awesome, dude. Like you get a bunch of your guys out there, you throw the ball around a little bit, you work up a sweat, we have a great time, make some jokes, laugh a little bit. It's good cardio, good exercise, sweat out some of those impurities. It's a great time. You should come out sometime. Okay, fantastic. Right? And you're trying to convince me, but you're not really trying to convince me. You're doing it naturally in the most organic way by just saying, dude, this is good for me. I think it would be great for you. You should give it a shot. Now let's transfer that back into the trades. Brian, how do we find that level of passion, that level of excitement around things like capacitors? faucet heads, surge protectors. And here's the disconnect, right? See, disconnects. Those things don't naturally have, for most people, the level of passion that perhaps skiing, in Vail, Colorado. They don't naturally come with that level of excitement or passion. So, Brian, from your perspective, can we get to that level? Or if there is some type of progressive scale where we're working our way towards that level, what do we need to do to generate some of that excitement, some of that amped upness inside? And you don't need to become like a television evangelist, We're not talking about that. But some level of passion or enthusiasm around the product or solution that your particular industry is providing.
So let's start with this. What's the biggest thing stopping most people from being that way now? The biggest thing stopping most technicians from being very enthusiastic about a product is they don't currently believe in the product. Now, that doesn't mean they believe it's not good for the client. In the majority of cases, it means they don't understand the product very well. And here's where the work comes in, man. You personally, whoever's listening, all 17 of you, have got to take the time and become an expert. Just write down 3 products right now, unless you're driving, of course. Then wait. Get pulled over and write down the 3 products, if you started moving in a serious fashion, would change your family's life. Man, if I started cranking out in our shop here in Phoenix and our plumbing team, if I started cranking out the Brita Pro complete system with the reverse osmosis attached to it every day, my family's lives would be different. The IRS would love us, right? We're the ultimate patriot. We're going to pay in taxes this year what we made last year.
Yeah.
And everyone has that, hopefully, that's listening, has that version of that product at their shop, that if they started cranking these things out, they would crush life. Like, things would be different for them. Now, jot that 1 to 3 products down. Now, pick the one that's going to make the most impact the quickest. And you have to go become an expert in it. And I would say 30 minutes a day in the morning, you focus on researching and understanding that product. And then you go online and you chat GPT and you Google and you get anywhere you can and find where clients have posted about how much they love it. Talk to the tech in your team or online, or reach out to us. And I do mean that when I say it. service@wastenoday.net. If you're like, I'm on this team, we sell this product, nobody sells them here, and I don't know anybody who really moves them, I'd love to have a conversation with somebody who does. Shoot me an email, service@wastenoday.net. We will find someone who does and help you with that conversation. And you will find that you're going to get enthusiastic about it because you understand it and because you understand the positive impact it can have on families. And when you're listening or when you're researching it every morning, it's going to be flowing out of you the whole rest of the day. But it's every morning. I don't care how rough the weekend was and you're not feeling it Monday morning. Dude, Monday is a struggle for people who rely solely on motivation. It's a struggle. It's why we call it the Conqueror's favorite day of the week in the Waste No Day Facebook group. There's a scheduled post every single Monday morning. It just pops up with the link to the new Waste No Day episode. And it says, it's Monday, the Conqueror's favorite day of the week. I don't remember what the rest says. But somebody posted in there today, today's Tuesday as we're recording this, and said, let me just see if I can find it real quick. Now, I would never be on my phone during a show like Nate does all the time. But this one time, I'm going to jump on here and see if I can find it.
You know, this is a podcast, right? Like we're listening, waiting for you.
Yeah, just talk, buddy. Just I know you think there's only one host on this show, but you can jump in.
Well, I'm just playing along with what you told people for the last 4.5 years.
So the post every Monday says, weekly reminder. It's Monday, the Conqueror's favorite day of the week. Hopefully you're rested up, but whether you are or not, it's game on. Here is a new episode to push you and your team through your self-limiting beliefs. Boom. Link. Waste No Day. That's every Monday morning that thing drops in the Waste No Day Facebook group. Unfortunately, you're just going to read it. Hopefully from here on out, you read it in my voice. And Brett jumped in there earlier and said, why would the day matter? Wouldn't each day be go day? And I'm like, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is. Every day is go day in some capacity. And even if that means like resting up and letting the dust settle a little bit and just chilling with the family and kicking back and enjoying the Lord's day, then it's still go day in that capacity. And you're going to crush that. But the reason we put that on Monday is Monday is, I almost typed losers, but it's not. It's just most people's least favorite day of the week. It's most people's least favorite day. It feels like the crappiest stuff happens on Monday, every Monday. It piles up over the weekend. It's waiting for you. So we're just flipping it in that group. It's the Conqueror's Day.
That's good stuff, Brian. And what we're talking about there is the idea around, yes, every day can be go day, but I think the natural rhythm of life is that Monday is more challenging just by the nature of the rhythm. So you're coming off the weekend, you're coming off the rest, you're coming off the time with the family, you're getting re-engaged in a different environment, a different circumstance, perhaps a different headspace. And there has to be something that comes with it. So you are shifting gears, you're shifting environments, and you're shifting people that you are hanging out with. All those things are changing. And so you do have to re-engage, which takes extra effort. You know, you've just gone through perhaps 2 days of coast or rest or whatever, and you have to re-engage. So I think naturally the rhythm is harder to overcome, which is why Monday is the Conqueror's Day. And it's something to conquer. And kind of tying that back into what you were starting off with there is that spending time in the morning, like getting engaged on a product. Maybe it's on Monday specifically, where you're forcing yourself into re-engaging that mind into what we're talking about here, with the emphasis of becoming an expert in that product. And not just from an academic standpoint, not just like, I know the user manual, good for you, but experientially too. There's so much value to having something in your own home. Like prior to me having water treatment in my home, I could talk to you about water treatment from an academic perspective. I could say, Brian, you should really have water treatment, man. It has a lot of great value, a lot of great benefits for you and your family, from your health to cooking to, in fact, I was in charge of marketing. And so I would write up pieces like that, or social media posts or blogs or emails or whatever. I would write something about why you should use water treatment. And it was factually correct. Lots of good stuff in there. But when I got water treatment in my home, I could now speak differently about the product.
Mm-hmm.
No longer was it about why you should or what it could do for your family. Now I am talking about what it did do for mine. And that is a totally different conversation. And that's where a lot of the passion can be found, because we're circling back into the hobby experience that makes me excited. So take, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm fairly passionate about that team.
Goodness, so late. Are we still on here?
So when I talk about the Eagles, which happen to be the world champions in the football world this year, when I'm talking about them, I'm going to talk about them from the we perspective, you know, my team, because I'm part of the team. Obviously, I'm on staff, on payroll as well. But I'm going to talk about it from like, you know, what we're doing and all kinds of like strategies and who do you think they're going to pick up in the off season and what do you think about the drafts they made this year and all this type of stuff. And I'm going to talk about it from a fanship perspective, which is naturally going to give me more ownership of the conversation. When I put water treatment in my home, I am now part of the water treatment fan base. Like I am now passionate about that subject because it has made a difference for me and my family. My kids are now spoiled. Like they go to somebody else's house and drink their water and they're like, ugh. Like they want to ask for their water bottles, which is kind of sad and ridiculous. But hey, you know what? There you go. That just goes to show how much of a difference that has made in their life, just experientially. They don't even understand it. They don't have any concept about how reverse osmosis works or why it's healthy or what they were drinking before or why the water tastes different or better, other than the water tastes different and better. That's all they know. But guess what? That's all they need to know.
It's all they need to know.
That's all they need to know. And they have become, not that they know the words, but they have become water treatment evangelists themselves. They don't talk about it as water treatment. They don't talk about it as reverse osmosis. All they say is, I like the water at our house better. Guess what? They're selling.
Yeah, buddy. They're excited. Yeah, and I was saying the Monday morning conqueror thing, it's like we had to flip that because people drag in on Monday morning. We drag in. It's not quite the pep in the step that you see on Tuesday through Friday, especially Friday. But Mondays, that it's like I'm back to the grind, and it's kind of brutal because oftentimes, no matter what you do, you have that Sunday evening thing where you're like, not ready for it to be Monday, you know?
Right.
And if you let that carry over into Monday morning, it's going to jack your week up. You can't afford that. So make a routine for yourself. You've got that one product that you wrote down, 3 hopefully, but one that you're going to start with first. And for 30 minutes every morning, at some point, just put it on the calendar. You're going to research that product in some capacity. You're going to become an expert in that thing and start cranking that bad boy out. But the more you research it, the more you will naturally want to talk about it. There is where the info overload can happen easily. So go easy on the technical stuff that you want to share with everybody. Let your passion do the selling. Let the energy be there to do the selling. La passion. Do not club me to death with information. I will have to think about it. And I will not think about it. I'll never bring it up to myself again. And that is what happens with people. And it's not their fault. It's yours. It's our fault.
So, Brian, are you familiar with what a shoehorn is?
I mean, like that you help put your shoe on with?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So a shoehorn originally gets its name because early versions of the tool were literally made from an animal horn, especially ox or cow horns. If you're not familiar with what a shoehorn is, it's an actual device that sort of looks like a hard banana peel, kind of curved and fits like the back of your heel. And it's designed to help your foot fit into a stiff type shoe without damaging the shoe or your foot.
You know, the only place you see them anymore is like the suit
suit and tie, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You go to get fitted for a suit and they're like, do you want to try the size 11 and a half? And you're like, yeah, I'll try those. And the guy just immediately slams the shoehorn in there for you. And he's like, go ahead and put your foot in, sir. I'm like, yeah, I like this service.
Yeah. And then you have companies like, Urukai, or however they pronounce that now the back of the shoe just flops down, so you don't even have to worry about that. You know,
Olukai, Olukai, yeah,
Urukai, yeah.
Love their flip flops.
Yeah. Anyways, but like a shoehorn is designed to basically wedge something into a stiff place that it would be difficult to get it in there without the tool. That's the shoehorn. The reason I'm bringing that up is because while that's an actual tool and the actual name of the tool to help in that situation, it is also morphed into a figurative tool as well, where it's used to say that I had to shoehorn that topic into the conversation. I had to shoehorn that piece of information into the dialogue, which basically means that you're inserting something into the dialogue that feels unnatural. And so it requires a shoehorn of some nature to kind of slide it on in there without damaging anything such as the shoe or your foot. And I want to bring that up, Brian, because I feel like this is where some guys could get knocked off the track. Okay, so they do a little bit of the study. They become an expert in the product. They install it in their home. They become an evangelist of the product based upon their experience. So now they know the product inside and out. They are anecdotally involved in the experience. Like they know they have the product, they are living with it, their family's enjoying it, they're receiving the benefits. It is aligned with the academic side of things. So they have both the knowledge and the experience to say, this is great, cool. And then they go to a service call or a maintenance call or whatever you're doing. And you get to this place where you're like, okay, I don't know how I'm supposed to transition from the conversation that is naturally going to happen about why I'm here to this seemingly left field product or solution that I'm passionate about, but doesn't really seem to fit into the conversation that we're currently having. Does that make sense? So, Brian, talk to us a little bit about that. In your experience, when you are passionate about a subject, in this case, a product, so passionate about it that you think lots of people should have it, including the client that you're talking to right now, but the conversation and the nature of the call and why you are there seems as far away from that product as could possibly be. Do we have to shoehorn this thing in, or how do we get good at making that transition smooth?
Yes. And okay. Yes, we have to shoehorn it in. You're going to have to figure out how to splice it in there somehow. And it is going to require your metaphorical shoehorn. But you're going to work on the transitions. And I remember when I was, I had mastered water treatment, so to speak, before I got to the shop that you're at in Lancaster as a technician. And I came in as a plumber. And I would talk to the other plumbers and go like, bro, they carry one water softener at this shop, period. The entire warehouse. No carbon filtration, no reverse osmosis, no multi-stage canister filters, just a water softener. And there are 8 of you. How is that possible? Right. And they're like, people here don't really care about treating the water. But the ones that care, and the ones that don't. And I was like, whoa. I was talking to my team this morning about, I had seen on an invoice here recently, won't call anybody out, water tested 18 grains hard and 2 part per million chlorine. Customer was not interested in treating the water. And my feeling on the invoice saying client was not interested. I'm like, I get nauseous as I read that and go, like how could a self-respecting person in a sales position put that in the notes of their own call? Like I would put that in the notes of your call to make fun of you. Nate built zero interest in that client treating their water, but I could never say it about myself. Like just, I suck as a salesperson. Just to put that quotes dash Brian Burton. I can't imagine saying that, because my job is to build the interest. My job is to create urgency. My job is to make it comfortably affordable. And then my job is to sign them up and put it in, or sign them up and get the installers over to put it in. That's my job. So just casually saying I decided not to do my job on this call feels like a slap in the face to me, myself, for me to put that in the invoice. So I'm always just like, how can you just put that in there? And not a second thought, huh? So we were talking about that a little bit this morning. But what I came to realize with the team, so I was in the truck for a little bit less than a year at Nate's shop, and then was promoted to the operations manager. And I just attacked the sales process and getting our guys to start moving these products. How many pieces of water treatment do you guys carry on hand now at that shop?
I don't know, at least a dozen.
Oh, that's just softeners, like carbon systems, city softs, complete systems, reverse osmosis. How many separate pieces would you say?
I would say like a dozen different generic components. Yeah, there may be variations in each, but yeah.
100 systems overall. When I got there was one standalone unit. And the biggest thing that I realized, and I'm glad you brought this up, the shoehorn, was where everyone struggled was how would I ever get from I'm out here to cable a kitchen sink line to now I'm installing a water purification system under their sink. Like if you've listened to this show for a while, it's like cake, right? Of course, I'll just bring it up. But remember, before you ever listened to this show, before you had good training, before you met a mentor who really invested in you and taught you communication, that's a tall order. And it'd been so long that I forgot that there was a time when that seemed an insurmountable hill to me. So the first thing we did was start working on transitions. How am I bringing it up? And I got a laundry list of different ways that I'm going to bring it up. But here's the deal. Here's the homework. We're not going to go through all, 18 industries now that listen to this show. But if you reach out to me at service@wastenoday.net, if it's a question only I can answer, the answer will come from me. If not, it'll come from whomever is going to get that email. But in the case of those types of things, if you need a transition to get from point A to point B in your call and you reach out, especially in the Facebook group, because it'll just sit there until it gets answered. Waste No Day Facebook group. But we'll give you a transition statement. They're literally, it's nothing for me to come up with a transition statement for any industry right now in 5 seconds flat anymore. Why? Because I'm naturally gifted at transition statements.
No.
We ain't even talking about the game. What are we talking about?
Practice.
We ain't even talking about the game. We talk about practice, man. Practice. Because I have practiced and drilled and rehearsed this ad nauseum for 2 decades. So I just learned the skill like everyone can. But you don't start with that skill. So if right now, if it's too tall a hill to climb, you have to start figuring that out. If you know you're going to bring up whole home surge protection on every call you go to, but you're going there for an outlet that the cord falls out of every time they plug it in, well, you have to figure out right now for yourself, how am I going to bring this up? And mandate the fact that you are going to bring it up on every call. Now, here's the other thing. You better know everything about that. Go research the heck out of it, because the excitement won't be there unless the knowledge of that product is there. But to answer your question, yes, we're going to shoehorn it in. How are we going to do it? We're going to have rehearsed transition statements. So just to throw out a few of the water treatment ones that I would do, the absolute easiest one, if you're a person who's going to test the water, and not everybody's going to do that anymore with the EWG.org website out there that just shows you what's in your zip code. But many people test the water. And if you're going to, you just walk up to the client at the end of your call. I'm all done, about to get out of your hair. Before I do, when was the last time you had your water tested, Nate?
Water tested? What do you mean?
Oh, follow me, bro. You're going to love this. We start walking. Now tell me 6 months ago. Nate, when's the last time you had your water tested?
Yeah, I think maybe 6 months ago, give or take.
Oh, cool. All right, follow me. We're going to do it again real quick. And I just start walking. And I might as well be holding the client's hand, because guess what they do? And it doesn't even matter that it's the CEO, the high D on the disc profile. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they are. They just start walking. Some quickly, some slowly, some asking the question while we're walking over. Some even kind of like, I don't think we need it. While we're walking to it, are telling me they don't really think they need the water. And I'm like, and I am shooing them off. Now we're friends by now, right? And I'm sure, oh man, dude, it's taking me 10 seconds. No burden on me. Now they didn't say it was a burden on me, but I made them feel like I felt like they thought it was going to be a burden on me. And guess who doesn't want to seem like an a-hole and say, no, I wasn't worried about you. I don't want my time wasted. They're not going to do that. So I just go, oh man, it's not going to take much time. Don't worry about me. And I'm flipping the latches off the thing as we're walking up to the kitchen faucet. That's how. In some capacity, whatever industry you are in, you have a version of that or 5 versions of that. And one great way to do it is to just curl your eyebrows a little bit and go, I didn't notice a fill in the blank. How much do you know about fill in the blank? And put them in a position where they have to ask you for more information. And off we go. So you weren't aware? Oh, so okay. So you didn't know about this. Oh, yeah, I can fill you in. No big deal at all. Is that something you would want more information on? And we just start asking questions until they're nearly begging us for more info on the product.
Yeah, and that's some of the beautiful and easy, very nonchalant, not a lot of pressure, very unshoehornish, right? So it's shoehorned in such a way that if you're not doing anything like that right now, guess what? Your first couple times is going to feel like you're just going to have to poke that thing in there. But run it through a couple times, role play it at home. role play it in the car, role play it with your buddies at the shop, role play it at the dumpster, and then go do it in front of the homeowner. And you'll get to a place where you are doing that assumptive close, that presumed, well, why wouldn't everybody want to know about this? Right? Like the person who is truly passionate about how aliens truly landed at Area 51 Roswell, right? The person that's truly passionate about that is going to assume that every individual on this earth wants to know about that. And they're going to tell you. Now,
yeah, and that's it.
Like, have
it's great. It's great when that happens,
that,
when they
right?
just like info dump and they're vomiting info on you, and you're just like, oh, okay, thanks for sharing. Yeah. But in this case, you're talking about something that will be of interest to them because they're starting to, especially if you move in with questions. And this is where there's so many levels that we're putting out right now. And it's an unfortunate thing that's like, we're trying to get you to get a few gulps of water out of an active fire hydrant. And it's not really possible, but start working on the enthusiasm thing. And also at the same time, start working on turning more of your sentences into questions. So the majority of the things that you say to a client should end in a question mark. So if instead of an info dump, you're doing a question dump that's getting them to ask you more about the product, now you're building genuine interest in them while you're acting enthusiastic about the product. And if I sound enthusiastic right now, it's because I love this. I love it. I love sales. I love communication. I love the fact that my voice is an instrument that I'm learning how to play. And I love the fact that you guys are learning the same.
Back to the quote, wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you'd have preferred to talk. Doug Larson. That's a great place to bookend the episode today, closing it up here. So I hope that we've encouraged you to get passionate about something. And I think for me, the starting place is if you don't have a passion, product, solution, or something of that nature in your industry, you need to find one today. You need to find something that you are passionate about. Maybe it's, fake slate shingles for roofs, and you just love that product. Maybe it's a soft start for an HVAC system, a whole home surge protector, a reverse osmosis system, some new, bug control system. Whatever industry you're in, passion about that product or solution, and find ways to start bringing that into the conversation on every single call. Go deep, learn the product, understand what it does, experience the product so that you can talk about it from a first-hand perspective, and bring that enthusiasm with your tonality, your pauses, your deliverance to a client in such a way that they lean in when you lean in. And now they want to know a little bit more about what you're talking about.
Woo, hold on, I'm giving you a hand, bro. That was beautiful. Epic. Yeah. Nate's learned to play that instrument, baby.
Yeah, that's right. So we hope that you've enjoyed the episode today. Go find yourself something that you love in your industry and make somebody else excited about it. Practice in the mirror, practice with your spouse, your girlfriend, somebody at home, practice with your kids, practice with your neighbor, practice with the cashier at the checkout at Sheetz or Wawa or wherever you stop for gas. Get passionate about something and start sharing the good news with everybody around you, and you will just naturally start doing it with your client. That's base level. Start asking questions. You start amping up your ability. You start bringing it in more comprehensively, and you'll get more and more interest, and the sales will follow. Hope that you enjoyed the episode. Share it around if you did. Let somebody else know that they need some passion in their lives and that they need to find something to talk about. We'd sure love if you did. If you're passionate about this podcast or this episode, we'd sure like to hear that as well. So we always enjoy hearing your feedback. Leave us a review, shoot us a comment, an email, find us in the Facebook group, or especially join the Blue Collar Closer school community and get yourself leveled up for the coming year. We're going to leave you now with our weekly challenge to choose to wake up each and every morning and waste no day.